Yeah, I just came right now.
Ah, okay. Uh, Mr. Ahmed, Huda, Zainab.
Yes, how are
Right,
you?
right. Okay, I'll start.
Yes.
Okay, we'll share screen again. Okay. All right, everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here we have Australia, which we looked at briefly earlier. Sometimes things are a little bit confusing. Now, you do not have to know the states of Australia. For instance, Sydney is in the state of New South Wales. So if they give you Sydney, what they might do is put SYD brackets NSW. And then you have to sort of search through the Australia stuff to find what looks right. So we have Australia, they do use daylight saving time. Lord Howe Island, Capital Territory, New South Wales, excluding Lord Howe Island, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Now, if I'm looking for Queensland, which is Brisbane, there's only +10. At the bottom of Australia, there's the island of Tasmania. They do use daylight saving time. Okay. Because remember, the distance between the west coast of Australia and the east coast is huge. If you take the train, it takes 3 days. 3 days to go by train from one side of the country to the other. That's a big country. So again, you've got the arrows pointing out bits and pieces. Some do use daylight saving time, some don't. All these things are there so that when you do it at home by yourself, and I'm not there to help you, hopefully the arrows and the explanations on the side will help you. Right. Oops, sorry, I went too far. Right, Northern Territory. Right, here's Northern Territory. Do they use daylight saving time?
No.
And that's your answer, no. Some places in Australia do, some don't. Okay. And then the arrows and the squares to help you work it out. Does New South Wales use daylight saving time? NSW, New South Wales.
Yes.
Okay, yes. And again, arrow, box, it shows you. Okay. Right. When we travel to the east, yeah, from GMT, the time zone gets later or greater. As we go west, it gets earlier. So a simple one, Bahrain and Dubai. Bahrain is GMT +3. The Emirates is a little bit further east, so they're GMT +4.
4.
Okay? As you go east, the GMT goes up, or the difference. So here we have an example. Colombo, this is Colombo. Their time zone is GMT +5 hours and 30 minutes. Singapore is GMT +8. Okay? Which is the country that's most furthest east?
Singapore.
Singapore.
Yeah. Now, one question that comes up in the exam is, what's the time difference? And it's very easy to work this out. If you have both
2 hours and a half.
cities in the same time zone, +8 plus 5 hours and 30, take the small number away from the big number and you've got the time difference. If it's two minuses, you take away the small number from the big one. So in a plus and a plus, take away, minus, minus, take away. So the time difference here, right, we have Singapore is 8, small number, 5 hours 30, so it's 2 hours 30 difference. Tell me, which country will have the later time, Singapore or Colombo? Which city will be in a later time zone?
Singapore.
Singapore. So that 2 hours 30 means Singapore is going to be 2 hours 30 ahead of Colombo, Sri Lanka. Equally, Sri Lanka will be 2 hours 30 behind Singapore. So you just have to get used to going backwards and forwards. So when the time zones are both plus, take the small number from the big number to get the difference. Will the time in Singapore be earlier or later than Colombo? Later by 2.5 hours, because it's further east. Okay.
Excuse me, 8 minus 3 is going to be, 8 minus 5 is going to be 3.5.
Hang on, let me write this down.
2.5.
8. No, 2.5. 5.
It's Roqaya, it says 5.5.
Yeah, 5.5. So if you
Okay,
take,
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah, because the odds 30 minutes at the end. Okay.
Yeah, right.
But yes. I'm human and I type these slides. Tell me, have you ever made a mistake when you're typing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, me too. So if something doesn't look right, please tell me. It could be my mistake. Good chance it is my mistake, okay? Right, so if it's 10 o'clock in Colombo and the time difference is 2 hours and 30 minutes, what is the time in Singapore?
12.5.
12.5.
12:30, yes, easy. Okay. And this is the sort of question they ask you in the exam. You can do it in Sabre. If you've got the time zones, you can do it in your head as well. Right. It is 01:30 on the 10th of June. What is the date and time in Colombo? So if I'm going from Singapore to Colombo, do you think it's Colombo?
So we are still on 10th of June.
It's going to go backwards or forwards?
9th, it will go to 9th.
Right, because there's 24 hours in a day, yes?
Yeah.
Right, so if I've got 01:30,
It will be 11.
exactly.
11:30. Yeah.
It depends how good your maths is. Me, what I do, because I'm useless at mathematics, I call 01:30, I call it 25:30. Now, there's no 25:30, I know that, but I call it 25:30 because it's easier for me to take 2 hours and 30 minutes off. And then I get 11. Or you could go 01:30 minus 1 hour and 30, that gets me to 0000, or 2400 minus one more hour is 11. So with mathematics sums, there's different ways of doing it. You do not follow my way unless you find it easy. You know, like I said, I would call it 25:30, take off 2 hours 30, or I would do it in 2 little bits, okay? Your math skills are probably better than mine, okay? You may not have to do it this way. Maybe you've got another way of doing it, I don't know. But if your answer, right, if your answer goes to the previous date, 2300 on the 9th of June, your method is as good as mine. In the IATA exam, they don't care how you get the result, as long as you get the right result. And that's why this guy whose English was a bit, he could manage. He kept all this up here in Arabic. I don't care. I've had students whose main language is Chinese. They remember stuff in Chinese. I don't care, as long as the answer comes out right. Okay? So you want to use Arabic, English, Czech, Urdu, Swahili, I don't care. Let's try it the other way around. YTO. Now, if it's Y, it's going to start in Canada. Good chance, starts in Canada.
Yes.
Any idea which city in Canada?
Ottawa, I think.
YTO.
Toronto.
Toronto. In fact, if you look here, this is Toronto Tower. Okay? HNL is the code for Honolulu. Now, Honolulu is a city in Hawaii, which is part of the USA. So when you look at the time zone, you don't find it under Hawaii, you find it under USA. Okay? So Toronto is -4 and Honolulu is -10. So same, plus, plus, minus, minus. We take away the little number from the big one, we get the time difference of 6 hours. Okay? Now be careful, because we're in negatives. Which time will be later? The Honolulu time or the Toronto?
Toronto.
The Toronto.
Yes, the Toronto time, because it's less minus, if you know what I mean. Okay? So, again, when both time zones are minus, take away the small number from the big number, you get the time difference. Do you think the time zone, the time in Honolulu will be earlier or later than Toronto?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah. Will the time in Honolulu be earlier or later than Toronto?
Later.
Earlier.
Earlier by 6
Earlier.
hours, because it's a bigger minus. Yeah. You see, this is what I mean, I don't know about you, but when I first did time calculations, I found this going backwards and forwards, you know, I found it confusing, because to me 10 is bigger than 4, so it would be later, but no, it's a -10 and I'm going backwards in time, which is funny because in my real life I've never gone backwards in time, I've always gone forward. So that plus bad mathematics skills, I had problems.
No, but with the time calculation also, we can locate them on the map, and which is in the west, it will be plus,
Yes.
which is in
Yes, that would work as well. Real life, that would work as well. Right, the time is 2100 in Toronto. Okay. What will the time be in Honolulu? Now, we already know the time difference. We already know that Honolulu is earlier than Toronto.
It will be the next day.
It will be 3, no, it will be earlier. 3
3 a.m. next day.
No.
No, I would say it will be 1500.
Okay, let's do this. We've got 2100, which is 9 p.m. Yes.
Hmm.
There's going to be 6 hours difference, so it's going to be 3.
Earlier.
Early, 1500 in the afternoon.
Yeah, Honolulu is going to be earlier than Toronto. Yes.
Yeah.
So if it's 9 o'clock in the evening,
Okay, so I've written it wrongly
and I'm
here.
going to 3, it will be 1500 on the same day.
So Honolulu is 6 hours earlier.
Exactly 6 hours earlier
Okay.
than Toronto.
I've got it, I wrote it opposite, so that's
Yeah.
why.
No, well, don't worry. I mean, you know, it's like I said, it's now 10 minutes to 5. In 1 hour, it will be 10 minutes to 6, but not if you're flying. It could be the same time. You can go backwards, you can go forwards, you can go forwards a day. You know, it's not a normal day-to-day way your brain thinks, but it's
Yeah.
like anything else. Little bit of practice, you'll be fine. Now, if we have 2 different symbols, so here we have Toronto, which is still -4, but we have FRA. Where do you think FRA could be?
Frankfurt, Germany.
Frankfurt in Germany. Frankfurt in Germany is +2. So if we have a plus and a plus, we take away. A minus and a minus, we take away. But if we have a plus and a minus, or a minus and a plus, add them together to get the difference. So 4 and 2 is 6.
6.
Okay? Do you think Frankfurt time will be earlier or later than Toronto time?
Later than
Later.
Toronto.
Yes, because it's more plus than the Toronto one. Okay. And it will be, Frankfurt will be later by 6 hours. Okay, the time difference. Right. If the time in Frankfurt is 1200, what is the time in Toronto?
6 a.m. the same day.
Oh, well, that was fast.
Yeah.
0600 the same day.
Someday.
Yeah. So not much point if you're in Frankfurt. Not much point phoning the reservation office in Toronto at 6 in the morning. There's going to be nobody there. Right. You don't have your books yet, so I'll tell you some bits of information. The date is the 12th of February. The time in Singapore is 1200. What is the date and time in Reykjavik, Iceland? Okay.
Singapore.
Wait.
We need to
Reykjavik,
know what is
Iceland.
the,
Yeah.
plus
Yeah.
minus.
Now, Reykjavik, Iceland equals GMT. Then we have
Okay.
Oslo in Norway, which is equal to GMT +1, and Colombo, which is equal to GMT +530. Singapore is GMT +8. Okay, it doesn't tell you on the question, okay? So we've got Singapore, which is GMT +8. It's 12 o'clock on the 12th of February. I'd like you to work out the date and time for those 3 places, please. And I'll give you 6 minutes.
Okay, I'm done.
Sorry?
I'm done.
You're done? Okay, just hang on a second for the others.
Yeah, we're done.
Okay, I'm also done.
Okay, so if Singapore is GMT plus 8, okay, we have 12 o'clock. If we minus that 8, we've got GMT, which is 0400, yes?
Yeah.
Right, if Reykjavik is GMT, then it's going to be 0400 on the same day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oslo is just 1 hour later, so 4 plus 1 is
5.
5. And this is what Mr. Ahmed was talking about. You know what some people do? They do the whole calculation again. But you've already got GMT. If Oslo is plus 1, okay, just add on 1. Don't be lazy. Be smart. Don't do the whole thing again. We know it's 0400 GMT. Colombo is plus 5:30. 5 and 4, 9:30. Yeah? Everyone agree? So not too difficult.
Colombo? No, Colombo should be 10:30.
Sure.
Okay, let's start again. Singapore is 12 plus 8. So if we take it to GMT, we get 4, yes?
4 a.m.
Right, Colombo is plus 5:30. So 5:30 plus 4
5.
is
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
9:30.
I see.
9:30. Okay? We okay on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, just to let you know, there is homework revision test. I don't know what we call these things. They're called tests, but they're not really tests because, you know, you can do them 3, 4, 5 times. I prefer to call them revisions. You know, it's just revise the lesson, have a few different questions. So you will be getting some of these time calculations to do later. Now, there is an imaginary line. We've got GMT here. And if we go minus 12 and plus 12, we meet at the other end. And that's here, the international date line here. You notice it zigzags. It's not a straight line. That's because there's countries, yeah? And they decide, no, we want to be plus 12. But these people say, no, we want to be minus 12. So across that line, there's 24 hours difference. Okay, so the imaginary line that runs north to south through the Pacific is the international date line. Okay. As you can see here, it zigzags all over the place. Tonga, yeah, is going to be plus 12. But just across here, American Samoa is minus 12. And there's not much distance between the two, okay? But it's their country. They can decide which time zone they're in, okay? Yes? So it's just a little bit more by way of explanation, okay? Here is something that always confuses me. Latitude and longitude. Longitude are the lines that run long, up and down. Latitude are lines that go around. Okay? Every time I do this, I have to close my eyes and think of longitude, latitude. Now, all this means is that the world is split up into zones, you know, location zones. So here we have the North Pole, which is 90 degrees latitude. Okay? The equator is 0 degrees latitude. Okay? And the South Pole is 90 degrees latitude. And these latitudes go around the world and they go up and across. Longitude is the ones that go down. Okay? So we start with 0, which is prime meridian. And that's another name for GMT line. Okay? So the GMT line has 3 names. Prime meridian, Greenwich Mean Time, and Universal Time Coordinated. We got 3. If you are unlucky enough to get a single question on longitude and latitude, now it will be interesting when later on, when we get closer to exam dates, I'm going to give you lots of previous year's exam papers. Okay, you won't find a single question on longitude and latitude. That doesn't mean you're not going to get one. Okay, so just remember longitude, latitude. Right, flight durations. Now, we've worked out how to do time differences. We've worked out how to do, if it's this time here, what time is it there? There's one more thing we have to learn, and that's called flight durations. Now, I need to explain this a little bit. And you might think I'm being crazy, but I'm not. A flight duration is how long you spend in the air. That's the flight duration. It is not necessarily your journey time. Example, I can fly Bahrain to Dubai, which is 1 hour. Then I've got a flight Bahrain to Paris, 5 hours. So my flying time is 6 hours.
6 hours.
But if I fly Bahrain to Dubai 1 hour, and I've got 3 hours to wait in Dubai, then I fly the 5 hours, my journey time is not 6, but 9 hours. So the journey time includes the time on the ground. That's part of your journey time, but it's not part of your flying time. Okay?
Then I have a question.
Yeah.
So usually on Sabre, you can find flights which is written for the same destination from the same place.
Yes.
It could be, for example, a 9-hour flight, and it could be a 27-hour flight.
Yeah.
They mean it's the air time, or is it the whole journey?
No, the whole journey, I believe, including the transiting time.
Exactly. On Sabre, it
Including
would
the
be the whole time. So if you have a flight, okay, London, Singapore, and it does a touchdown in Bahrain to refuel, Sabre will show you the total journey time.
Okay.
Okay.
So not
But
the
sometimes you get fussy passengers, and they'll say, how long is the flight from London to Bahrain? And how long is the flight from Bahrain to Singapore? They'll want it broken down, okay, which is much harder to do on Sabre. Okay?
Okay.
So please remember, when you look at Sabre or a timetable, departure and arrival times are always given in local time of that country or whatever. Now, in the next lesson, we'll be doing some examples of how to convert this. But I think for one day, we're doing quite a lot already. One problem we have with all this flying from different time zones is the body, when we cross different time zones, inside we have a body clock. Yeah. Now, our body clock now says it's 5 o'clock. I'm starting to get hungry for dinner. Yeah. But if you fly to Australia, your body might be saying dinner time, but the local time might be saying breakfast time. I may want to sleep, but that country, I have arrived early in the morning. So our body clock gets all mixed up. And then we get tired and we get headaches and we can't eat properly. And this fatigue, okay, here we are, fatigue means tiredness. This fatigue is jet lag, okay? So normally it's worse. When you fly west to east, normally jet lag feels worse, yeah? But you imagine, if you fly from Bahrain, which is +2, and you arrive in Sydney and it's +12, yeah? And you arrive in Sydney, which is +12, that's 10 hours of time difference. Your body is 10 hours wrong. That's a whole half day. So you want to sleep, but your body's saying, no, wake up, it's time to get up. Even when you're in the same time zone, if you have one night's bad sleep, it affects your sleep the next day, doesn't it? You can't sleep, or you wake up early, or you want to nap. And that's when you're in the same time zone. Imagine what it's like when there's 10 hours difference. So jet lag is the fatigue experienced by travelers crossing different time zones. How can you avoid jet lag? Number one, drink water. Yeah, definitely avoid alcohol, because alcohol dries you out, which makes the effects even worse. You can drink tea and coffee, but don't go crazy on it, you know? Pure water is really good. Try and get your body in that time zone. So maybe you're feeling really tired, but you know, in this country, it's on the afternoon. I'll make myself stay awake until another 4 hours, so that when I do sleep, it's closer to their time. Okay? Or try and sleep earlier. It's not 100% effective, but it's more effective than not doing anything. Okay? Eat lightly. Don't eat too much on a flight. But with airline food, it's not likely you're going to eat a lot anyway, because the food is terrible. So, a couple of questions before we have our next little break. DST, what does DST stand for?
Daytime saving.
Daylight saving time. And daylight saving time is used by all countries. True or false?
False.
Is false. DST means daylight saving time. True.
No, this is daylight standard time.
Yeah, it's daylight saving time. That's true. This one is false.
Yeah.
GMT and UTC time are the same.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. It's two names for the same thing. What's the other one?
Prime meridian.
Prime
Oh,
meridian.
well done. Prime meridian. Yes. The travel industry uses the 24-hour clock to eliminate confusion over AM and PM. True or false?
True.
Yeah, it's true.
Sure.
That's why, apart from the USA, everybody uses the 24-hour clock. Jet lag can be defined as the time difference travel experience when taking long flights across
False.
time zones.
False.
Yeah, it's false. It's the fatigue travelers experience. Right. World is divided into how many time zones?
24 time zones.
24 time zones. Thank you. Right?
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's a very happy little boy. So, the next bit